Now that Creative Assembly has released their first gameplay trailer for Total War 3 Kingdoms, the real battle begins. How do you pronounce that man's name? So it's Ao with a tisk sound in front of it, like tisk tisk, Cao Cao.
A man so famous for his fast troop maneuvers and quick strike tactics that instead of speak of the devil,
in Mandarin Chinese they say speak of Cao Cao and Cao Cao arrives.
But there are really two people with the name, the man and the myth. A statesman, poet, and master of military command, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms paints him as a conniving warlord, but the truth is far more interesting.
But everyone agrees that he began as a cavalry commander during the Yellow Turban Rebellion.
Once in the Imperial Army, he used his cleverness to work his way up through the ranks, and when Dong Zhao rebelled against the Emperor of the Han, Cao Cao joined the coalition to fight him.
But the civil war spread,
and each of the great generals dug into their own provinces, leading their own independent armies and worrying only about themselves.
This all happens around 190 CE, the start of the Total War 3 Kingdoms campaign.
Cao Cao will be a starting general you can play, a commander type who will inspire the soldiers around him to take arms and fight bravely. He'll be recognized as an opportunist who takes advantage of any situation, skewing fortunes to his favor, and will likely receive a higher success rate for his agent actions. He'll have access to equipment unique to his story. At his side, he'll carry the precious sword Yiqian, Trust in Heaven, which he carried with him at every battle. He also had a sword bearer carry a second weapon for him, Qinggong, Blue Light, capable of cutting through iron like mud. His horse is named Shadow Runner, famed for carrying Cao Cao from an ambush so quickly that its legs didn't cast a shadow on the land beneath.
Equipment worthy of a great warrior with a great destiny.
But in the novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Cao Cao isn't a hero.
He's the villain.
This skewed portrayal begins after a failed assassination attempt against the tyrant Dong Zhao. Cao Cao then found himself on the run. Avoiding capture by guards, he stopped at a friend's house for shelter and was invited to stay the night. During the dark hours, he heard knives being sharpened on stones and overheard the servants say, "How are we going to kill him? He must be tied up and slaughtered." Cao Cao drew his sword, burst into the room, and found the servants waiting with knives in hand.
He killed everyone he found.
Only afterwards did he find two pigs trussed and tied to chopping blocks waiting to be slaughtered.
His friend had intended to throw a feast in his honor.
Cao Cao fled into the night, only to find his friend on the road. Knowing what awaited the man ahead, Cao Cao killed him on the spot, reasoning that the man would notify Dong Zhao of his location if he found his family slaughtered.
He then famously said, "I would rather betray others than let them betray me."
But these ruthless, decisive actions are what made the unification of northern China possible. In the years after this event, Cao Cao would gain control of the Yan province. When his father was murdered in a neighboring state, Cao Cao invaded, and then from there spread his army across central and northern China, but not before putting every person in the city to the sword for the crime.
Monstrous acts in a time of heroes.
After the one kingdom of Han broke apart, new kingdoms formed from its remains, with Cao Cao laying the foundations of the kingdom of Wei. When the Han Emperor's capital was sacked, Cao Cao seized the opportunity and had the court moved to his own province. He was proclaimed prime minister.
But when the other warlords refused to join him, it set him on a path of conflict against the very heroes he had fought alongside in the Yellow Turban Rebellion.
This egoistic slant made him stand out in a Confucian world that demanded sacrifice for the good of a community. Cao Cao was a brilliant ruler who promoted organized education and fought famine by allowing war-torn refugees to settle in wastelands of his own province. He created a justly ruled and rich land, able to field tremendous armies.
But he's remembered in popular culture today only for his treachery, cunning, and deceit.
Before a battle with his former friend Yuan Shao, Cao's army was hungry and on the verge of rebellion. So to raise morale, Cao Cao came up with a plan. He secretly purchased more food, but told no one. He summoned his granary officer to his tent, who reported what Cao already knew. His men were hungry and grumbling. Cao ordered them put on half rations over the officer's protest. Later, the sergeant comes to him again. The soldiers were threatening mutiny now. Cao Cao then cuts off the officer's head and nails it to the camp gate with a sign beside it that reads, "Granary Officer Wang, executed for embezzling grain and distributing half rations." Cao then opens a secret grain supply and morale soars, carrying his army to victory in the coming battle.
Though he may be vilified, none question the military genius of Cao Cao.
On his death, he asked to be buried in secret and to keep his armies abroad, as the war to unify China was still incomplete.
Even in his last moments, seeking to bring stability back to his world.
For I would rather betray the world than have the world betray me.
Look for Cao Cao in the upcoming game Total War 3 Kingdoms, releasing sometime in spring 2019. And a special thanks to Reddit user Xia Yu, who helped me with the pronunciations on this. Now, if it's bad, it's my fault, not his. And as always, thanks for watching.
A new opponent. Let us begin.
So in the end, do you think Cao Cao is a hero or a villain? Weigh in below. And if you enjoyed this content today, make sure to click subscribe to be notified about future releases, and check out some of my other videos.